Welcome to America with an Accent. On Tuesday, November 3rd, America votes. About 23 million U.S. immigrants are eligible to vote this election, some of us for the first time, like myself. The voting process here might be much different from what we're familiar with, and that is why America with an Accent brings to you today how to vote. Brian Kruse, the election commissioner for the Douglas County in Nebraska, will explain everything from who gets to vote to the most common mistakes. This is Voting in the USA. Who can vote in the United States?
Sure. The requirements to be a registered voter in the United States are pretty simple. You have to be 18 years of age by Election Day, and you have to be a citizen of the United States.
If you are a green card holder, you are not able to vote.
That's correct. In most jurisdictions, the way I understand it, that's correct.
How does your name appear on the list?
When you go to, say, the DMV, if you get a driver's license there, they may ask you if you want to register to vote. But you have to be a citizen of the United States and be 18 years of age by Election Day in order to do that. And when you sign, whether you sign digitally at the DMV or you go on the Secretary of State's website to register to vote and you check the box, or you do it by paper and you sign, when you sign that oath, you're signing that you're 18 years of age, or you will be by Election Day, and that you are a citizen of the United States. And if you should happen to falsify that record, it's a crime.
One question that regards the undocumented immigrants, do they have the right to vote?
I don't believe so, because it says right at the top of the voter registration form, you check a box that says you're a United States citizen and that you'll be 18 years of age.
It's the voting day.
Yes.
What should I do, or what should I expect? Should I have an ID with me, identification document with me?
That's right. So here in Nebraska, we are not a voter ID state. We like to say you are your own ID.
Okay.
The only exception to that would be if you are a first-time voter and you registered to vote by mail, and you did not provide, there's a list of documents, and you can provide like a photocopy of your driver's license or utility bill or something like that, then you would need an ID the very first time you voted. That number is extremely small and it's very rare. We have 373,000 voters, and we're talking a few hundred.
So you come in, and what happens there?
Yes, so you would come in to our office or to the polling place on Election Day, and you will go up to the attendant who's there, and they will either, if you're in our office, they'll ask you some information to have you verify it orally, and then they will print you out a ballot. If you're going to your polling place, they will ask you some information, look you up in the book. It's a paper book, and then they'll have you sign your name. If they find you in the book, they will have you sign your name and then give you a ballot, a paper ballot, to go vote. You get a paper ballot either place. Now, if you go to either place and for some reason your name does not appear in the registry or we can't find you, a voter always has the right to do a provisional ballot, and then we can do extra work after the election, extra homework on our end to determine if that individual should be registered or not.
One of the facts that is most of the time overlooked by us immigrants is the change of the address. And sometimes we fail to update our address. If I am on the list, but the address doesn't correspond with the current address, will I have the right to vote?
If you did not update your address, but you moved within the same county, you can do a provisional ballot, and the provisional ballot will count, assuming everything else was done correctly. If you moved from another county and you did not update your address, you won't be able to vote provisionally. It's within the county.
And I assume if you move in a different state or city, it's the same case scenario.
Correct.
Right? And I come here, but my English is very limited. Can I bring someone with me, or will I be provided some assistance if possible?
Of course, you can bring someone with you. The ballots are in English here in Nebraska. If they're able to interpret for you in another language and you are able to fill out the ballot completely on your own, then the person assisting you will not need to fill out a voter assistance oath. But if the person assisting you is actually maybe going to point to which oval you need to fill out, or fill it out for you perhaps, then that person will need to fill out the voter assistance form. And basically all it's saying is that the person that's assisting will not reveal how the voter voted in any way, shape, or form. It's essentially a privacy oath.
All right, I am ready to vote now. I get the ballot. What is the most common mistake made while filling out the ballot?
One of the common questions we get is, do I have to vote for everything on the ballot? You do not. You don't have to fill out every race. If there's some races you don't want to fill out, you don't have to. You only have to vote for what you would like to. Now, probably one of the most common mistakes is, say you were going to vote for candidate X, but you wanted to vote for candidate Y and you filled the wrong oval in. You need to come back up and get a replacement ballot. You can't just cross it off. You can't write no over it and then refill it in, because our machines detect the ovals that are filled in. So if there's more than one oval filled in, then that race won't count. Now, the other races on the ballot would count. It's just that race might not. If you make a mistake, just come back and get a new ballot.
I've come to realize now that even filling out that oval can be an issue as well.
It can. We do ask voters to use a blue or black pen. You need to fill the oval in to the best of your ability. Keep it in the oval. If you go outside a little bit, that's okay. But again, maybe another common error is, don't just make a check. Don't make an X. Fill that oval in. Because again, when it goes through our machines, it's got to be able to read that oval. So you need to take your time and fill that oval in fully and precisely. Voters can bring their own writing utensils, absolutely. But here at the Election Commission, and as well as at the polling places, we will be giving voters their own pens to use, and then they can either dispose of them or take them with them. We will not be reusing pens this election. Normally we do, but in this election we are not, and in the primary we did not either, for health reasons.
And the masks are mandatory?
We cannot mandate masks either here or at the polling places, but we will have them available for voters. But we're asking voters, treat this like any other outing you're going to. If you're just like you're going to the grocery store or maybe out to eat or someplace shopping, please wear a mask. Please wear a mask.
When we come from, you either are with one party or with the other.
Okay.
And when you get the ballot and you fill out the candidates that are associated and affiliated with your favorite party.
Right.
Now, here, if the president would be from this X party, but the congressman or congresswoman would be from a Y party, can I mix my vote?
Absolutely. So in a general election, which is what we're conducting now, every voter gets the exact same ballot, and they can vote for whoever they want. And in Nebraska, there's 3 parties that are acknowledged: Republican, Democrat, and Libertarian. But voters also have the option of being registered as nonpartisan or independent if they do not want to be, affiliated with a party for some reason. But you can vote for whoever you want. You can vote for president for one party and senator for another party, and congressman for another party. It's whomever you would like.
On the ballot, it says there that you can vote for a write-in candidate. What is that?
So what that is for a variety of reasons, they didn't file in time, they didn't meet the deadline to have their name printed on the ballot, but they still maybe they want to run for Senate or they want to run for Congress. And so they have a campaign and they're asking people to write their name in. So in order for a write-in candidate to be counted on the ballot, the state law says you have to write their last name in as close to the spelling as you can get it, or at least so we can determine it, and you have to fill in the oval. You still have to fill in that oval, so it's not enough just to write their name in. You have to fill in that oval, because again, when those go through our machines are looking for those ovals. If the candidate gets more than 5% of the vote, then we will report how many votes that candidate got. But if it's less than 5% by state law, then we don't report it.
I walked through this and I understand that this is a sample and it has all the names, but
Right.
It depends on the district.
That's right. So it's going to depend on your precinct or your district. It depends on where you live as to who will be on your ballot and who you're voting for.
Okay.
Now, for federal and state offices, everybody has the same representative and even some county offices. But when you get down to like school board, then your ballot will be specific to your area.
How long does it usually take from the moment that you pick up the ballot until you get the I voted today, the sticker?
So as we get closer to the deadline, our lines are getting longer here at our office. Last week we were about 20 to 30 minutes. We're about an hour to an hour and a half this week. Now, we have had so many people vote early in this election, we do not expect long lines at the polling places. So I would say you're looking at around a half an hour, 20 to 30 minutes. Now, to actually fill out your ballot, it's probably going to take you 10, maybe 15 minutes, because besides individuals we're voting on this time, we have 2 constitutional amendments and 4 initiatives. 3 of those are gambling, 1 of those is payday lending, and then there's a couple constitutional amendments. So it may take you, 10, 15 minutes to fill out your ballot, but I would say voters could expect their experience to be 20 to 30 minutes this time around.
And when you say early voting, we are at the Douglas County Commission office. Are you going to be open on November 3rd?
So early voting ends at our office on Monday, November 2nd.
Okay.
We are not a polling place here. We'll be open that day to assist voters, but you cannot vote here. On election day, you have to go to your polling place to vote, or you can bring your ballot here to our drop box and drop it off in our lobby, or you can use one of our 13 drop boxes around the county.
How long have you been in this position?
So I'm just about ending my 5th year. I'm finishing my 2nd presidential election.
Can you give me a feeling, a comparison in between those 2 elections?
This one is just so different because of the sheer volume of early voting. In 2016, we had 33% of our voters voted early before Election Day. In 2018, it was about 37% of our voters voted before Election Day. This time, I'm expecting 70% of voters to vote before Election Day, or to get a ballot before Election Day. Now, there's no question at all that the pandemic, COVID-19, the coronavirus, is driving that high number.
This early voting, can you tell the voters that that vote will be counted and on time?
Absolutely. So in the state of Nebraska, it's very important to note that postmarks do not count. So ballots that we receive after Election Day in the mail, we won't count those. You have to have them in one of our drop boxes or in our possession by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 3rd.
This is when the polls close as well?
Right. When the polls close for voters going to their polling place, the polls also close for any early voting ballots that are still out there. You have to have them in our possession by 8 p.m. on election night. The post office is recommending that now you no longer mail your ballots for safety. They're recommending you either bring them to our office and turn them in or use one of our drop boxes.
You said that you have about 70% of voters voting in early voting option or using the early voting option. Will you be able to count the votes on Tuesday, November 3rd?
We will. Each state is different, and sometimes it varies county by county, city by city. But in Nebraska, they allow us to count all of our early voting ballots on Monday. But I know Pennsylvania for sure, possibly Wisconsin, they do not allow them to do that.
So Nebraska is prepared to start counting early votes on Monday.
Correct.
But you will still be open on Monday as well, the office here for early voting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, we will. And then all of those votes that are cast in our office on Monday, we will count those Tuesday morning. We'll start at 7 a.m. Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Now, ballots that are turned into our drop boxes and that we pick up at 8 o'clock on election night, Tuesday night from drop boxes, we check those in on Wednesday, so we make sure that voters don't attempt to vote more than once. Then we count those on Friday after the election. So that's one thing that is very important to note for voters across the nation. Results on election night are always unofficial until the election is certified. And that is anywhere, again, that varies state by state, but that's anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks or maybe more in some places, but generally 1 to 3 weeks when the election is certified. Results are always unofficial on election evening.
Now, Brian, what is your prediction in this year? When we'll know the official result? It's a tough question, isn't it?
It is a tough question. So I think it's really going to come down to some of these states they're talking about: Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania, maybe Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, that upper Midwest. If some of those states are going for one candidate or another by a wide enough margin that maybe it can't be made up by the early voting, we may know on election night. I like to tell people, it depends on your bedtime. If your bedtime is early, you're probably not going to know.
Okay.
If you stay up till midnight or 1 o'clock, maybe.
Okay.
Will we know by the next morning when you wake up? Again, maybe, depending on which states and how close they are.
You touched on it a little bit when you said that you filled out the ballot and you realized that you have crossed the wrong candidate, and you come out and you are given another chance right there on the spot.
Absolutely.
But recently we have heard about this change of your choice, of the voting choice. Is that possible? Once you have cast the vote and you're convinced that you have picked the right candidate, can you change your mind?
You cannot. Once you have signed that envelope and returned the ballot to us in Nebraska, you cannot change your vote. In most states, you cannot change your vote. There are a few states, I understand, that do have some exceptions for that, but most states, I believe, don't allow that, and we do not allow that in Nebraska. So once you cast your vote, it's just like at the polling place. Once you put your ballot in the ballot box, you cannot retrieve it. Voters should be assured that whether they voted early by mail, whether they're going to vote early in person at the office, or go to their polling place on election day, the election system in the United States has been tried and true for over 200 years. It's safe, it's secure, and it works. And I would encourage everybody to get out and have their voice heard, because when they cast their ballot, it truly is democracy in action.
This was America with an Accent for this week. Please remember to vote on Tuesday, and please also remember to check our website at www.newamericansmedia.com. You can also follow us on Twitter or Instagram, find us on Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Enkela Vebio.